Awesome. Well, let me welcome you.
Thank you.
And let me tell everybody who you are and what you're doing. So this is Rick Kolster. Rick and I have known each other for what, 4 years?
Yeah, for 4 years, yeah.
Well, he is an international speaker, motivator, and executive coach. He works with corporate leaders to help them design a plan of action to become more effective and maximize profitability. He really is all about the bald truth. And I have to say, I love a guy who will capitalize on that. So he's totally straightforward, no nonsense. He touches on the root areas that need change and allows total transformation, both internally and externally. Here's something you'll learn about Rick today that's really true. When he speaks, it's not for the faint of heart. So he is large, in charge. He's very real. And he uses a roll up your sleeves and get to work approach to success. So, and that is the name of your book.
Yes, right? It is. There you go.
All right. Okay. So Rick, here's what
where do we go? How do we start?
How do we start? Here's how we start. So I want to talk about leading from the front.
Okay.
And as I was setting up the Facebook Live, you said, everybody's pivoting today.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're supposed to talk about leading from the front, but I totally want to hear about everybody pivoting. So where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about pivoting or leading from the front, or how those two things tie into each other?
Well, they do. They actually tie in together. Pivoting, a leader has to lead from the front. And you can look at memes, you can look at pictures, you can look at, everyone's got their own way of showing that. I use a great example. It's called square wheels. And I found it years ago, created by a guy named Scott Zimmerman. And it's a concept of looking at a picture, and everyone has a picture in their mind of what leading from the front is. But the leader is always out front. They should be out front, not sitting back, letting the employees pull him in the carriage, but actually leading the charge with that. But what's happened is we've, in the midst of where we are, what we're doing, how we're feeling, COVID, the changes, we came out of 2019 going, man, I'm sure that's glad that one's done. Although it was a great year for us.
I was going to say, it was kind of a banner year. We had a great year.
I had a great year. My clients had a great year. It was a good year. But, everyone wants to be able to say, oh, it was a bad year. No, it was a freaking great year.
Freaking great year.
And we come into 2020 and we're rolling up our sleeves, getting to work, getting our stuff done, and we are rolling. And we had a banner. We had record January, February at our company, the Peak Performance Group. We're a leadership development company. I do executive coaching, leadership development. So I'm really an expert in that space right now. And we came out strong. And then all of a sudden, everybody seemed to, the door just shut. It's literally like you were in your office and you shut the door and no one else could come in. And where did everybody go? How come no business is coming in? Everybody stopped. And while it was a nice vacation, and here we are, 3 months into this? It's been a nice vacation. I mean, I get to walk a lot with my wife. I get to do a lot of fun things. I'm doing a lot of cool videos like this. I've got a podcast that we kicked off. So we had all these great things going. But when you all of a sudden get thrown a curveball, a COVID, lock in place, shelter in place, whatever you want to call it, you've got to be able to pivot. A good leader's got to be able to pivot. And I'm watching companies that are going from one direction to another and pivoting, kind of like, think of it as a football player. If you're a football fan, you get it. The running back, he hits the hole, and I'm an old offensive lineman. So he hits the hole, comes off the backside of the offensive lineman, and then he's got to look at who's going to be in front of him. And right now, it's shelter in place, COVID. It could even be riots that are going on as we speak today, things that are happening, protests and riots and things. So he's got to plant his foot, pivot, and go the other way really quickly.
But here's the great news. As we've seen, in my business and our clients' business, this is also like, you have to pivot, you need to pivot, but there is an immense amount of opportunity out there if you're open to the pivot, right?
Well, absolutely. And the ones that are going to be left behind are the ones that can't make that change. It's adaptability. And that's leadership is a lot of things. And there's great traits, and everyone's got their list of traits. Heck, I got a list of traits up here, 5 things they need to do to positively impact business. I've got all those numbers, but it's really about being adaptable in the face of adversity. I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 22, probably since younger, because I used to mow lawns, and I'd go shovel the driveways from the old ladies just when the snow would come out, and I'd cut their lawns in the summertime. So I always had this entrepreneurial spirit. So the people that don't have that type spirit or are able to be adaptable, and like I said, I cut the lawns in the summer and I shoveled snow in the winter. I grew up north where we had snow.
I was going to say, you did not grow up here in Texas.
No, ma'am, I did not, but I got here as quick as I could.
Good boy.
And, I like to say I'm a Texan by choice, not by chance. So I had a pivot come season. I was trying to cut somebody's lawn when there was snow on the ground. That wouldn't have been too bright. So you have to be able to be adaptable to the season, the time, the environment, all the things that you have. And that's what good leaders do, is they're able to be adaptable, pivot, if you will, and still make sure that they're out front of the troops. Make sure they're out front leading the people that they're charged of taking care of. I think that's a key element of leadership is you've got to take care of your people. And if you're not adaptable, if you go, oh my God, I'm so afraid, I don't know. No, you're not a leader. You're waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. A leader is going to make a decision. And back in 1993, as I began my journey as an executive coach, I decided to write the 12 commandments for success. Coach Rick's 12 commandments for success, bottom line. And really what it was just a bunch of rules that you ought to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 is do it now. And number 2 is if you're not going to do it now, when will you do it? At least make a decision. And
right.
Number 5 is make a decision. Right or wrong, make something happen. Be decisive. And leaders have to be decisive.
Well, and what's the thing, 2 basketball teams are playing. Who's going to win the game? The team that sinks 25% of their shots, or the team that sinks 100% of their shots?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they're, if the ones that sink 25% of their shots take 100 shots, they've gotten 25. They've made that decision. They've moved. Yeah. If you're waiting for the perfect shot, you may only take 5 shots in a game.
Yeah.
And that's not going to win the game.
I love it. And I love you because you're so analytic. You're so numerically based. It's like,
well,
you counted the shots. That's perfect. Yeah? And that's it. But you're absolutely right. And as an old athlete, I'm an old basketball and football player. I get it. You got to take the shot. And sometimes the shot is not the best shot, but it's the only one available. And it may be that the 24-second clock is winding down. And you don't want to take that shot leaning back on one foot, jack it up, unless you're Larry Bird, of course. And then he always nailed those. But it may be a bad shot, but at least it's an opportunity. And that's where we are pivoting today in today's environment. Pivoting is about looking for opportunity.
And I think it's being open to opportunity and open to the fact that this may not look like what you think it's going to look like.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've got a client I just spent the day with today, and he is in the machine tool business. He sells hundreds of machines that sell for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Big monster machine tools. He is not a transactional type business.
Yeah, he's not getting a lot of orders on the internet, is he?
So he pivoted. And now they're in the hand sanitizer business.
There you go.
They're selling hand sanitizer, new concept, great idea. We're getting a lot of traction with it. So he pivoted because he had the ability to produce that with another partner. He says, I've got the sales, I've got the environment, I can sell to my existing customers something that they now need. He pivoted. Now, is it easy? No, it's hard. We spent a full day working on some strategy, and direction and setting up some partnerships, but hard work begats it. And that's what I think leadership and the folks that are watching, and if you're watching right now, thank you for tuning in. But you've got to be able to say, I got to take that chance.
Yeah.
I got to take that shot.
And
don't be afraid.
And it may not always be pretty. It may not always be perfect, but you are set also by taking that step. You're moving one step closer to where you ultimately need to be. So like that may not be the perfect shot, but it may set you up for your next shot, which will be even better.
Yeah. Because they think you're going to take that crappy shot the second time, and now you give them a little head fake, they go up, and you go by and you drive to the basket and take the layup. It may be that easier shot. I guess that's what I said with pivoting, is what I meant by pivoting. We've got to be adaptable. We've got to be able to be open to new opportunities, and don't stay in your one lane. Although, I was told once, pick a lane, stay in it. Yeah, that's it.
Pick any lane, just pick a lane.
But at the same time, if that lane's blocked off, you got to change lanes. That's really what it is. So be adaptable.
Rick,
and that's really.
Are you saying to act like Waze and find a new route to get to your destination?
Yes, I love Waze. And it changes depending upon traffic conditions, depending upon what's going on in the road. The cops are up the road. They'll give you a sideline around the road. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. Leaders need to find that adaptability piece and find that for them. And like I said, you wanted to talk about leading from the front. Well, that's the guy that's going to change lanes. He now becomes line leader, like we all wanted to be in school.
Yeah.
I'll be a line leader. I'm a line leader. Yeah. Now he or she becomes the line leader.
Right. It's that car that all of a sudden peels off the freeway and takes off, and you're on some exit and you're like, I don't know where he's going, but he's going the right. He's getting out of this and he's making some kind of progress. I'm going to follow.
Yeah. And that's what leadership is really about, especially in these really uncertain times. People are scared right now. Times are weird.
And I think your team will take whatever attitude it is that you have. So if you're scared, your team's going to be scared. If you're confident, your team's going to be confident. If you're questioning and open to new ideas, absolutely, virtually every single good idea that has moved my company forward has come from my team.
Oh, absolutely.
They are an incredible assortment of ladies. And, we all are looking for that next opportunity. We are all looking ahead, and it's pervasive through our whole company.
Yeah. And I was once told by an old boss, an old mentor of mine, and I said, what did you do that was different? How did you take a company from 0 to 170 million in less than 10 years? And he says, I hired good people. Now, he's a pretty smart dude. He was a really smart dude. But so he never said he hired people smarter than me, although he probably did at some point. But he says, I hired good people and let them do their jobs. Yeah, I think that's where leaders really got to let that happen.
I had that experience this week. It was so interesting. So I think the PPP loan forgiveness application has come out.
Yeah.
And it's a bear. It's here. It's on my desk. It's looking a little pathetic because I've been working on it for weeks. And I got it and I started reading it and I was kind of hyperventilating. Oh my gosh, how are we going to be able to fill this out for all of our clients? And people aren't going to understand this. I have to build a model that will put all where you can just put in the data and it spits out the application at the other end. And one of the people on my team said, are you the best person to be doing this?
Ooh.
And I'm like,
insightful.
Yeah. So it turns out I was not the best person to do it. Valerie was the best person to do it. And so after about a week of working on it, we had a meeting where we all looked at it and, oh my gosh, it is a thing of beauty that I never could have created. And it's because she's really good and she's got expertise, and she's got a knowledge base, and she knows things that I don't know. And she thinks about things in a different way than I do. And so it's amazing that, and it's exactly what your mentor said, hire good people. And
Yeah, when you bring the right people, when you bring the right people around you, they're going to surprise you. When you let your team do what they need to do, just like you said, are you the right person to be doing that? Well, you could have done it,
yeah.
but
I wouldn't have done it like that.
And that's what I find with leaders all the way through leadership and companies all over the world. It's really, if you turn it over to your team, let them figure out, give them an end result, what you want them to have. Say, here's what the end result I want to see. How you get there, that's up to you. They'll usually find a better way to do it than you would, because you'll have multiple minds working on it, or different creativity, different experiences.
Yeah.
A lot of leaders get very, very bothered and scared if they're not doing it my way. You have to do it my way because I did it in the past and it worked. That's great. It worked that way, but also take into account things like behavioral styles, personalities, and different life experiences that the people have. Well, you may have done it right and gotten it right that way, but you didn't know it was supposed to only take you half the time it took you the first time. You just got it done. And you were pretty proud of yourself.
Hey, I got it done. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. But you had no clue that it was only supposed to take you an hour, not 2 hours.
Yeah. Well,
and then someone else has better experience, and they know it only takes an hour, and I figured out how to do it in an hour.
I'm reading What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Oh, yeah. Great book.
Well, I did it before. It only took me 2 hours. That got you here. That's not what's going to get you there. And something that you said earlier that ties back to that book is focusing on your people.
Yeah.
And in that book, he says, you don't start to move forward until you take the focus off of yourself and put it on your people.
Yeah. And that's the whole concept behind the foundation of my business, is developing servant leaders in the marketplace, people that are there to serve the people that they lead. And it's you can talk about it as a biblical principle, but it truly is, but it goes back to who are you serving? Who are you leading? It's not you should do for me. It's what can I do for you? And I love John Kennedy's. It's not, what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country? Mm-hmm. And it's really about, that's the model. And he was an amazing servant leader in his mindset. Mm-hmm. How can I help you be the best you can be? And how can a leader in an organization, how can I support you, lift you up, and help you become better? And if you take it from that perspective, that becomes the foundation for a servant leadership mindset and a model within an organization. And there's critical things you have to do as a servant leader. That's the bottom line, is, you got to communicate with your people. You have to communicate. And especially in these times right now, and we're in really uncertain times. Who knows when we're going to open up? We're phase 1, phase 2. I don't even know where we are half the time. I've never stopped working. And I know you haven't either. Haven't slowed down.
Not in the least.
And so it comes down to is, as a leader, one of the things you have to do is over communicate. And I say over communicate. Be present when you're there. Be present in the moment, not over here drifting or thinking about the next thing you have to do or want to do. No, be in the moment when you're with your people. Understand and be empathetic as well is another critical piece. You got to be empathetic because it's such an unknown. And even if you don't know, understand that the people that you're leading, they don't know either. Because it is a big, empty, who knows what, black hole, so to speak. So leaders today have got to communicate and over communicate. I use the word over communicate. Make sure you're clear, concise, and that when you're communicating, you're making sure everybody's on the same page. That's critical. So that's just something. And, leaders, think about the mindset that we have to have. And that's something that's scary. Your people watch how you respond and react to things. And I believe respond and react are truly two different things. A reaction is an immediate, it's kind of a almost negative feeling. I reacted,
Gut
I
instinct.
reacted negatively. You get snippy. I mean, I've done it to people. I've been there, done that. But when you respond to someone's input, their question, it seems a little more thought out.
Yeah.
And it allows you to think through it. So make sure that you're very, very empathetic with people and that your attitude is one of positive. Stay calm, stay cool, stay collected. Even in the craziest of times, you know, in the midst of the fire, don't be running around screaming and yelling.
Yep. Be calmly organizing the water bucket brigade.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people, oh, it's a fire, what am I gonna do, right? No, what it ends up being is, oh my gosh, it's a fire. What do we have to do? Somebody call 911. Somebody, you call 911. You get the hose. You get a bucket. You get a blanket to put over that person that's whatever it is.
Yeah, you go put out that person that's on fire over there.
Yeah, whatever it is, you know, and begin to do that, or I'll do it, whatever it is. But that's another thing is make sure that in this time, your attitudes are absolutely positive. What can you do? Don't tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you can do. So.
Well, and I think part of that is kind of the true entrepreneur spirit. I had a conversation with a client one time, and she's like, you know, I told my assistant, you know, find out if we can do blank. And I said, here's the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur. An employee looks for permission, and an entrepreneur just wants to know how much, how fast.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
Take that opportunity. What can I do? How much will it cost to do it? And how fast can I get it done? I know. So we have throughout this, because it is so financial, and, you know, we're CFOs. So we've been trying to keep up with the government and Treasury and the SBA and everything, as they put everything out, you know, every day. So we're like, whatever. We're like, okay, now we've got to do this on the website, and now we've got to have the website that does this. And like, we've been building and doing these things to keep up. Is this, like, I don't know, is making a webpage my, like, highest and best use? No, but I also can't get a web designer to do it fast enough, and I can do it at midnight. It ain't pretty, but it's done because we're getting creative. How do we get it done? How do we get it done quickly? How do we get it done well enough? Because there are people that need this. And it's finding that opportunity in being entrepreneurial about it.
And I always call it the boss mindset. And I have for years, as always, you got to have a boss mindset, not like I'm the boss, but how would an owner think if you are responsible for all the dollars? And we may be talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, people out there. Can you have an ownership mindset? Can you take ownership and say, okay, what would be the best use of time, energy, money, whatever it is at this moment? And that's the thing. So you got to take a look at it and look at your organization and say, okay, make some honest assessments. And right now, in this time of uncertainty, some honest assessments are going to be critical. And it's a good time to. I stepped back right in the beginning, and I did an honest assessment of my personal business. And I had my clients do the same thing. I said, go through and do your own SWOT analysis and just kind of say, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And that's one of the things that I help organizations do, is work through that and design that strategy. It's do an honest assessment of where you are in your business, and then build the strategy. Build your strategy from there. We're going to be rolling out some really cool new things coming up. Called the business acceleration system that we've created in this COVID time. Would I have had time to do it?
Yeah, I feel like I have been so creative in the past 3 months. Don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm amazing. I've got other associate coaches that work with me, and we've been working together to create new vertical markets to jump into. to creating new tools that we can use. From our business EKG, where we take the heartbeat, really do an EKG on a company and get a heartbeat on everything that's going on. Now, you're the expert in the finances. I know that, and I trust you 100% with that, as you well know. But it's really about what's the heartbeat of the company: finances, people, strategy, action steps. What are all those things? So we're going to be able to come out and find a CFO, because trust me, numbers are not my thing. They're not. I have an honest assessment of me, and I can count to 10. And as an old sales manager, I can figure out a commission. But you start wanting to figure out and digging into the complex P&L. All I know is bottom line, because I'm a bottom line guy anyway.
Yeah.
So tell me bottom line. Here's what I need to be. What information do I need? Here's the things I need to make decisions. I don't want to spend, is that best and highest use of my time to dig into those numbers? No, I got to have somebody dig into it and tell me what the answers are.
Yeah. And see, we love digging into it. We love finding the answers. Then we love working with people because, for instance, you're a great sales guy and you'll coach on sales. And we can't fix sales. We have no stinking idea. We can tell you where along your conversion cycle you're breaking down, because we can look at the numbers.
Yeah.
We can't tell you how to fix it.
That's right.
So, and that's why we like working with people like you, because
that's the strategy.
Here's the data.
Yeah. So, there's the strategy, and then here's how you execute on the strategy and what you do. And that's really what we want to do. We really work. Leaders today have got to pay attention to that. Do an honest assessment, and then build a strategy after that assessment. And again, this has been the most creative time in years since I started deciding to write my second book. Our first book was called Selling for Geniuses, which was a book on how do small business owners that come out of a larger corporation, you may have gotten riffed, you may have gotten downsized, and that's going to start happening all over again. So, and it's interesting. I'm starting to see we've been selling a bunch more on Amazon in the book. I'm like, hey, where'd that come from? Yay, look, we're selling stuff. But Selling for Geniuses was designed for that new entrepreneur in mind. To say, okay, what are the things you need to be? You may be an expert. We called it Selling for Geniuses, because you may be an expert in what you do. CFO, web design, electrician. You may be the best electrician out there, but you know how to run an electrical company. We're going to teach you how to build and grow an electrical company from not nuts to bolts, but the basics. How do you build it? What do you do with it? How do you market it? How do you brand it? What do you do from people, hiring people? How do you lead? How do you follow sales? A lot of the basics. So how do you sell your business? So we're going to start seeing a lot more of that. I think a lot of people are going to realize we didn't have to go to the office quite so much.
No, you don't have to go to the office. Running a virtual company, I can tell you, you really don't have to go to the office that much.
No.
We've always been virtual.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun though? So
yes. And it's so funny because everyone's like, oh, our office shut down. And I'm like, all our people work from home. There is no shutting down.
I'm living in the nighttime sky. I'm sitting out on the patio with the beautiful nighttime sky behind me. That's all.
You're outside?
No, I'm in my office.
I was going to say, it is a totally sunny day out there, and I would love to go out there.
I have been known to sit on the patio and coach, though.
Yeah.
And that's the as you say, having a virtual company.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty it allows you to do that.
Yeah, it's great flexibility, and I think that goes back to what you were saying in the beginning about pivoting and looking for the opportunities and taking them, because they're out there, and it's a great time to do something like that. I want to talk a little bit more. If you had someone come to you today and say, my business needs help. you were talking about your EKG.
Mm-hmm.
What are the first couple of things that you would have them look at?
Well, right now we want to. There's a lot of things you want to look at, but there's key pieces. Number one, look at your team.
Mm-hmm.
Begin with your team. We're watching sales numbers, we're watching revenue. That's a given. You should know your KPIs or key performance indicators, and what are the metrics in your business. But if you wanted to grow, is first make sure you have alignment in your team. Make sure that your people are the right people, as we talked about having good people, and
Mm-hmm.
make sure they're aligned in the right spot.
How do you do that?
Well, you can do that through assessments. You can do that through just chatting with them. Are they happy where they're at? You may have a very high analytic person in in a customer service role. But if someone who really would rather be doing the books, and that's where they shine, and they're highly analytic and numeric based, which I'm not. I readily admit my weaknesses. I'd rather be talking to people than counting numbers. So if you were to put me in a bookkeeping or an accounting a role, or a CFO role or a controller role, I'd implode pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But you put me in a customer service role and some freedom to be able to make decisions, boom, I'm in my world. And that's one of the things you can do it through either assessments, and the business EKG that we look at really looks at what are the alignments of some of the major areas. Does everybody know where we're going? The vision, the values, the mission, the strategy.
I was going to say, you were talking a minute ago about skill set, but I feel like that alignment is along two different paths. They have to be aligned with the job responsibilities. Like they have to have the skill set, but they also have to have the right core values. Are they in alignment with your company's core values?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we begin to look at, is making sure that everyone is aligned. It's really the value of core values. Number one, having them, and number two, making sure that your team knows what they are, and number three, making sure they buy in, and number four, making sure that there's not misalignment. And that comes down to the individual as well. The individual's got to take some time and say, do these core values meet my personal core values? Mm-hmm. And I even would take groups of individuals, group teams, through personal core value exercise, understanding who they are. You know, how many people do you know can recite or have a set of core values that they can recite? Everybody says they got to be good. I want to be a good person. I want to do right.
Yeah, it's kind of a cop-out.
I think it is. But really, how many people can say to you, these are the 6 things that are non-negotiable in my life? Integrity, relationships, commitment, quality, serving, fun. These 6 things in my life are non-negotiable. If what I'm doing isn't fun anymore, I either have to make it fun, find a way to make it fun, or find something else to do.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. We are we have core values, and we've always had core values. And it's interesting when we talk about them, we hire based on our core values. We fire based on our core values. But it's not just employees. Like, our clients get our core values. When they sign with us, they get a copy of our core values. It's our commitment to them, but we also ask for the same commitment from them. That's
alignment.
And I fired my biggest client, who was 93% of my business. I fired him because we weren't in alignment on core values. And when you're willing to take that kind of stand, core values become very real in your company.
It says a lot. Number one, it says a lot about who you are as a leader when you use core values as a litmus test. Yeah. What it is. And there's a great book out there, and I use it in a lot of my classes, called the the value of core values,
Oh, I
why
haven't
they're
read that.
important. Yeah, it's written by Lisa Hudeman. So
Okay.
I'm promoting my friend's book,
There you
and
go.
it
Hold on.
was
I'm
amazing.
writing down.
Yeah, it's an amazing book on how important core values are to not only to an organization but to the people in the organization. And if you can't follow them, it's perfectly okay. Your core values don't have to be the same as mine, but if they're not in alignment, then guess what? You probably are in a wrong place. You're going to be miserable. You're going to be unhappy, and you're going to do a poor job, and you're going to do a disservice to not only yourself, but your employer.
Yeah. And to the clients. I mean, yeah. I mean, there are companies where it's very individualistic, and there's some companies where it's all about the team. Yeah. And if you are an individual and you're stuck in a company that's all about the team, and they always want you to contribute to the team and be on a team, you're going to find that just awful because it doesn't match who you are. But let me tell you, there's a company down the street that's all about the individual, where that employee will be so incredibly happy and will totally shine. Mm-hmm. So not being in alignment with the core values isn't like, it's not a judgment that someone's making about you. It's simply, you're a square peg and we're a round hole. Yeah. But there's a square hole down the street where you can do amazing things.
It's almost like, and I'm hesitant to say this, but it's like dating. It's almost like dating. Yeah. Right? There's a lot of really good people out there. And there's a lot of good people, men and women back and forth, that have good hearts, that are good people, but they're just, something doesn't connect.
Just not the right one for me.
You're just not the one. I adore you. You're a wonderful person, but I don't know that we could align on how we think. It doesn't make you bad. Doesn't make me right. You're wrong. It just makes us different.
Yeah. So, and I think one of the things that you said that is really important is you don't have to have the same exact core values.
No.
They just need to be in alignment.
That's correct.
So one of our core values is responsiveness. Mm-hmm. And it has been renamed the Laura rule, because part of the responsiveness, and Laura renamed it, none of the rest of us did, Laura took this on. Part of that core value is responding to emails by the end of the day.
Okay.
And my team is very responsive. They understand this, and they're like, I can't always respond to that email that comes in at 5:15. I'm like, I get that. I do. But they're very much aligned with the core value of responsiveness, and they are responsive. Mm-hmm. It just may not be 10 minutes responsive.
Well, again, if it comes in, between business hours, and entrepreneurs, we like to think we work 24 hours a day, and because we're that kind of person. And I had 2 conversations today with guys that, look, this call us. We work 24 hours anyway. I said, no, you don't, because I like to shut down, and I like to go for my walk every day, or get my workout in, or sit down and relax and have dinner with my wife, whatever it is. And that time is precious, because, again, one of my core values is relationships. Mm-hmm. So if I'm working 24 hours a day and I'm spending time with my grandson, my daughter, my wife, anyone, a friend, and I go, oh, let me get this call. How often do we do that? Oh, just a second. And it's a half hour later, and they're going, well, we were having dinner, and we were supposed to spend. No.
Yeah, and now we finished dinner and done the dishes, and Rick's still on the phone.
Exactly. So that violates my core value of relationships, because I've just violated that. And I define relationships as to be known as a man that cares first about the relationships that I build that foster well-being and success.
Yeah.
So if I'm not fostering a relationship that, and I pay attention to that, that is fostering a well-being with people. So it makes somebody pissed off, excuse my language, makes somebody mad. Yeah, I slip up. I'm human. But if I make somebody mad because of my lack of attention to that, I'm violating my core value.
Yeah.
So now I have to decide, is this really a core value, or is it just a couple words on a piece of paper?
Some words on a paper.
Platitudes, empty platitudes.
And we don't want that. All right, so we've kind of gone down a rabbit hole on core values, but obviously we both think it's incredibly important.
I think it's huge. I think it's absolutely huge. So, and I think the last thing I would say for any leader that's out there during this time with things to lead from the front is make sure you're setting your goals. You're taking time to establish what you want to have happen ahead of time. You know, Stephen Covey once said, begin with the end in mind. What he was telling was set your goals.
Yeah.
He just said it in a really cool way.
Well, and who was it? Churchill that said failure to plan is planning to fail.
Yeah. So set your goals and find a system. I built a system. I teach and create a system it's called the SMART Way system of setting goals. And then we use what we call GoSat as the process. So it's simply building a process into, once you've established what you want to have happen, what's the steps you're going to take? And if you use those in conjunction with each other, high likelihood of success. So make sure that the goals are clear, specific, measurable, attainable. They got a timeline built into them, and that they're yours, that you own them.
All right,
and
can we talk about that
critical.
for a minute?
Yeah.
I want to talk about owning your goals, because I have always seen, I'm going to get up on a soapbox for a second.
Okay.
All right, I'm on my soapbox. This whole growth for growth's sake, and always looking at your revenue number, and be a 7-figure business, be an 8-figure business, grow. And I've watched a lot of entrepreneurs that have gotten kind of sucked into that, and they end up with goals that are about growth, that are about specific numbers, but that aren't really theirs. And it just undoes me. Being a $1 million business, what is it, 4% of the businesses in the US?
Somewhere around there.
Some tiny little whatever, hit $1 million. But all these people say, I want to be a $1 million business. And it's just a number, and it's not something that they really own, and it's not something that they necessarily wanted. It's what they were told they should have, or they were told what they want. So I think that everybody really does need to reassess their goals right now. The world has changed. We don't believe in budgets at CathCap. We believe in profit plans, because that sounds a whole lot sexier and more fun than a budget. So budgets are all about what you can't do. We went through and we really looked at our profit plan in what's realistic. And, I've got a book coming out in 6 weeks.
Hey, cool.
Yeah. But we had to push that back because coronavirus, and all of the speaking things I had set up, which was our marketing, went away.
Yep.
And so you're like, okay, well, that went away. So this has to go away. That speech went away. So this is going to have to go away. And we got really clear on what it is we want to accomplish this year. What is a win for us? And it's not all about revenue, and it's much more internal. And what does our team look like? And what are we achieving? And what does our relationship with our clients look like? And we've created some internal projects. And I think that's so important to really assess your goals and make sure they're yours. And don't get bullied into thinking you need to be $1 million business or a $10 million business.
A lot of folks think about what they're told they need to be.
how they need to be. And you open the door to hours of conversation, trust me, with this one. And
We only 15 minutes.
I know, but the point is, yeah, you can, how does it, set your goals. But if they're only revenue goals, is that it? Is you want to make more money? I had clients once, many times, and I might have made a few a little uncomfortable. And I said, so why are you in business? And what do you think the normal answer is from a new entrepreneur that tells me what? I said, tell me, why did you get into business? What do
I
you
want to
think
make $1 million. I
want to make money. I want to make money. I said, you know what? You want to make $1 million? I say, go down and you want to sell 2 pounds of cocaine. That should probably do it.
Rick, how do you know the going rate of a pound of cocaine?
I don't. It's ballpark, right? I'm guessing. My point is go sell 2, 10, 15. I don't know how many pounds it's going to take.
How many pounds of cocaine it takes? Yep.
Go sell drugs go sell drugs in massive quantities.
Yeah.
Illegal. I don't care. You didn't say you wanted to make money legally. You just said you wanted to make money. Okay. Become a hitman. Kill somebody for $1 million. I think those jobs are few and far between, but they're in the movies.
Yeah.
The point being is, find out why you want to be in business and then design your goals that meet your why. The money will flow. The dollars will come. When you do what you love, and it's an overused platitude, and you hear it over and over. When you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. No, BS. You're working your butt off, but you love doing it.
You're enjoying it.
You're having fun. It no longer becomes a drudgery. It's hard. It's like the athlete that wants to take it to that pinnacle. And I think we watched the Rock's new show, and that guy, he works out like a maniac, but he loves it. And from that comes, he's in great shape, but he's also able to do other things because of that. Mm-hmm. And he puts in the work and the time and the effort because he loves it. And the result of it is the opportunity to be the Rock, to be that where other doors will open. And that's when I do strategic planning, when we work with companies on building your SWOT. Really, I take the O out, the opportunities out.
Yep.
There's no need, because if you understand what you're good at, you understand where you're not that good, the weaknesses you may have, and you understand the threats to your business, competition, changing dynamics in the marketplace, whatever it might be, what threats might be to your business, you'll recognize that because I have this strength, I'm not really strong here, but I'm really strong here. There's a threat in this area that's the opportunity. It's over in there now.
Yeah.
It naturally opens up the door to visualize that opportunities that are there. So those are a byproduct of understanding what you do well, what you don't do well, and what might get in your way, what obstacles you may run into. And that's the critical piece. And you end up doing the things you like. Do things you like that you're strong at, you're good at.
Absolutely.
I found out years ago, I love to speak, but I really love to teach.
Yeah, because there's nothing better than that moment when you're up on stage and you say something and all of a sudden you see that light bulb go on for somebody, and you're like, that's why I do this.
Exactly.
That moment where like the penny dropped, they understood something, they're going to go back and make a change in their business for the better. And you're like, yes.
And that's where I differentiated years ago. And someone told me, pick a lane. They said, what do you want to do? And I picked 2 lanes. I do executive coaching and I do leadership development and strategic planning for companies. So I kind of narrowed it down to those 3 things. I keynote, and I'm happy to keynote. I do. But I picked those 2 lanes first, working with individuals and developing leaders in an organization, and then doing one-on-one executive coaching. Speaking's fun, but to me, it's more stressful than teaching and developing strategy, teaching leaders and developing strategy.
Yeah.
I can get on stage, but again, It's not that I can't do it, and I will, but I'd rather do
Other
the other
things you
first.
enjoy more.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that you're absolutely right. It's find what you love. It's find goals that align with that. So I was talking to a former client. He's an awesome guy. We haven't worked with him for about 5 years. I was talking to him last week, and he kept being told, grow, 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 grow. When I stopped working with him, he was about $1 million. And he did that whole growth thing, growing for the sake of growth. He had about 5 million in revenue. He was stressed out, unhappy, working all the time, like all the stuff. And he wasn't making any money.
Exactly.
And he finally was like, forget this. He's dropped back. He's at like 2.5 or a $3 million run rate. He has purged a bunch of people from his firm that weren't contributing. He's making more money than he's ever made. And Rick, he's so stinking happy.
That's it. And that's the difference is doing that
deal.
And that's where honest assessment comes in. That's where you do an honest assessment of where you are in your business. You know, some people just don't want to take and grow. And sometimes, you know, that simpler is better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many things that I could recommend for clients, and some people absolutely love building enterprise businesses. That is what they've been built on. That's what they learn. That's what they know how to do. Personally, I'll never build an enterprise business because it's not where my heart is. I want to have my own freedom, not be tied down to, oh my gosh, I got to work 14, 18 hours a day because everyone needs a piece of Rick.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
I want freedom.
So I think it also goes back, and this probably goes back to where we started, to leading from the front. I think, who was it that said, know thyself?
Yeah.
Like, I think you need to know who you are, where you excel, what you want. And until you do that, you probably can't. You probably, I'm not going to say that you can't be a good leader, that you can't lead from the front, but you will be more effective if you know those things. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. And there's a couple things that I think that are critical for leading from the front. Number one is doing that honest assessment of yourself and even of your business. And that's where the EKG can come in and help as well. But do an honest individual and personal assessment. And then really have a mindset and have a heart for people, and that you want to give more than take. Because if you really have to do that assessment, am I more of a taker or a giver? The easy thing is, oh, of course I am. No, the hard thing is, ooh, wow, I'm taking more than I'm giving. So having that honest assessment of yourself and doing that from a leadership perspective, and then wanting to give back. Mm-hmm. Understand that you're blessed. Understand the gifts that we've been given when you're charged in a leadership role, that it truly is a gift, not a burden, but a gift where you have an opportunity to change lives, and everything that you can do is for the good of others. Conversation with 3 men today, and we're all at about the same stage of our lives. We're on I'll say we're on the backside of our peak of our careers.
You're at the peak, Rick. You're at the peak of your career.
Look, I'm a realist. This is honest assessment here, right? We've already made our money. We've already had success. We've already been in the marketplace. We've worked with folks, and as a 60-plus-year-old man, all right, I'll throw it out there. I turned 61 on Mother's Day. You know what? I want to start spending time with my family, the things that are really important, and helping others build their businesses. It's been a blessing for me what I do, but it's how do I help others do that? Learn from my experience, be a mentor, and be someone that gives back. I already have a lot. I have everything I need. I've got a beautiful wife, got a great house. I've got a wonderful family. and even this COVID thing, this whole COVID, we shut down. I didn't have to shut down. My business didn't stop. A lot of people are suffering, and it's hurt a lot of people financially. I honestly say it.
You weren't one of them.
It wasn't it was a speed bump. It wasn't a mountain.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to say, we've got like 3 minutes, so we're going to be really quick, but because you and I are always really quick whenever
Sure.
we go to breakfast and it's 2 hours. But I think that it's okay to realize that not everybody gives in the same way.
That's right.
And that during your life, you will give different ways at different times. And am I giving, giving isn't always money. It's money, it's time, it's expertise. There are all kinds of ways that you can give. You can give to people you know, you can give to people you don't know. And I think it's okay to realize that the way John is giving is not better than the way Mary's giving.
Correct. Yeah.
And the way you give is only right for yourself.
Yeah. And make sure that as you give, you communicate. And I find that the number one issue in any organization, bar none, is trouble with communicating. It's not sales. It's not manufacturing. It's not the numbers. We don't know the numbers. We all have that. It's how do we communicate as a leader, and how do we communicate as a team? And I've got a rule, and maybe we can wrap up with my 3 rules of BS, because
Right.
We are in Texas.
What are your wait, hold on. Before we do the 3 rules of BS.
Okay.
If people need to find you, how do they find you?
Oh, that's easy. They can go to www.mypotentialplus.com, or they can reach me at 817-748-7425. You can also just Google Coach Rick Kolster. That's with a K. And you'll find me. Go to Facebook. You can go to LinkedIn. I accept everybody's LinkedIn. Find me on Instagram. Put lots of fun stuff up. Every day we put up a bald truth thought of the day.
You love your bald truth.
Every day. We're up to 100 this year so far. It's a bald truth thought for success. And it's always something that struck me. So go ahead and do that. But I do have 3 rules of BS.
All right. What are the 3 rules?
And it all relates to communication.
Mm-hmm.
Be sincere. Really be sincere about yourself. Be real. And then be succinct. So clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And then step back, be seated, and sit your ass down and let them do the work.
Sounds awesome. All right, Rick, thank you so much. I so appreciate this. You have been awesome, and
Fun.
you are welcome back anytime.
Oh, I'll take you up on that. I like that. Because you know what I like to say? That's the bald truth.